after this, the price definitely gotta go up. Yeah. What you expect? Told you I wanted, I got it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of, I don't know what our name is for this. This is what you expect video reviews, weekly.
Like first week reviews, first listens. I don't know. We're gonna figure it out.
Whatever. This is we're here bringing you what you expect. I got my boys with me, Brandon Verastro. This is Mr. Reviews here, Mr. Mayo.
Yes, sir.
King Solomon, the lyricist, the cultural commentator, and we have a very special guest here, Jade, one of a very talented writer. So many bylines and places I wish would pay attention to me. So we're blessed to have her here. How you doing, Jade?
Good. Thank you so much for having me. This is exciting. I was literally manifesting last week. I don't know why, because I was just sad. And I was like, I just want to be on somebody's podcast. And then this happened. So.
Oh, this is perfect timing then.
You've come to the right place. So this past weekend, we got a lot of R&B releases. We're going to focus on Snoh Aalegra's single, Dying for Your Love, Summer Walker's EP, Life on Earth. And then we're going to talk about summer 2020 and what songs of the summer would be because, we're not outside. We're not in clubs. We're not at day parties, really. Some people are having some that they shouldn't have, but we're not really experiencing the summer that we should have. So we don't know what the record of the summer would be. So we're going to try to figure that out with this talented, diverse group that we have here. But first, let's jump into my baby, Snoh Aalegra, Dying for Your Love.
Hey, whoa. Adjust that correctly, sir.
Anyways, how'd y'all feel about the single? Were you guys excited about new Snoh Aalegra? It's almost been a year since her album dropped, so.
No, I was very excited. I know when I got into Snoh, I want to say the end of last year, like maybe end or mid last year. And I absolutely loved the project. I thought it was absolutely amazing. So, I've been waiting for some Snoh music in a while, and just to hear it, I like what I really thought was dope was she's even trying, she's so dope because vocally, she's probably one of the best in the game right now, just off her vocals. And for her to come back with this more of a vibey R&B sound that we're hearing from a lot of the other mainstream R&B acts, to hear her to kind of even dip into that realm a bit and, get to show her vocal chops off was wild. I thought the record was absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing.
What you think, Mayo?
Yeah, I'm always a fan of Snoh Aalegra. I'll always stand for her. She's beautiful. She's amazing. She's talented. We just listened to it right before we started this. I was actually a little disappointed only because I thought we were getting an album and we only got a single out of it. Because I thought she was hyping up the album. And I was like, all right, I'm ready for this. And then she dropped a single. I'm like, damn, wanted the album. But still a really good track. I'm really looking forward to her album. I still got to listen to her first album more. I only listened to it once or twice. So yeah, I've been slacking a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, but always a fan of her. So ready for whatever's coming.
So before we jump into Jade's initial first takes, with her, you said you didn't listen to it that much, but I would say "Dying for Your Love" kind of more mimicked "I Want You Around," but the rest of her album, "Whoa" and "Charles,"
different.
All those songs, they were more ballad-like. So I felt this was her to another point. How'd you feel about "I Want You Around" compared to "Dying for Your Love"?
Me or so? I mean, I don't know. It's been a while since I've listened to her album. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of forgetful on her album. I kind of really just started getting into R&B a lot more this year. So I'm not gonna lie. But I do love this track a lot. This is something I will play multiple times throughout the week. With this in Juice WRLD. So I'm a big fan. I don't really normally listen to singles as much, but I'm getting more into it, just trying to hype myself up for albums and stuff. So this is it was a really good first listen that we had, and I'm looking forward to her listening to this album and then getting hyped for the next album. But I can't really compare the two because I don't remember her last album as much as I'd like to.
Okay. Yeah, Brandon, you're kicking me in the nuts there a little bit, but
listen, what do you want
Jade,
from me?
please,
I told you I'm slacking. I admitted I'm slacking. I already got shit for the Drake and Wayne shit. I don't need shit for this either.
Wait, what shit did you get for the Drake and Wayne shit?
Well, Armin killed me this morning because I didn't put Ransom at number one.
Didn't kill me. I was just critical.
A lot of people didn't like Ignorant Shit being at 28. Someone said With You should have been higher, and I completely disagree with that. I thought that song is definitely in the bottom tier. And then everyone, it was more, I mean, everyone's just more so complaining to complain, I guess. But
yeah, that's what comes with lists.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we expected that, but everyone should have said Bedrock should have been last, and we contemplated it. But we didn't think like people would actually be like, we should put this last. What was that?
You put it a lot higher than I was expecting.
I mean, 27 out of 37 is still like
not great.
Bottom half, but we definitely probably should have. We were like, it was hot for it was good for like the time when it came out, like everyone loved it. Now it aged like absolute milk, but it is what it is.
You know,
if you put that into consideration, what?
Oh no, I was saying like what's crazy is like people are complaining about like Bedrock being so low, and that's still like a lot of people's favorite songs from like Young Money. So it just shows how great Drake and Wayne's collabs have been over the course of their tenures. Like the fact Bedrock being at 27, everyone's up in arms about. So that was so Jade, I want to know you and your cute ass dog's thoughts on Snoh Aalegra's single "Dying for Your Love."
Obsessively licking her paws, which is why I'm trying to get her to stop. Say hi. But for me, I feel weird about a lot of these R&B girls coming out because, at least for me, it was the same thing I feel with like Summer Walker, where like I love it, I like listening to it, but I don't know if it's just me. It kind of gets lost in the shuffle after a certain amount of time because there's only so much you can kind of do with with what you're given. But I do like Snoh Aalegra. There's something about her that is very. I listened to her. What's Those Feels Again? That was her. Was that her first one? Right.
I think that might have been like her first officially recognized album. I think she had one before that. I forget.
Yeah, I think she did drop something before that. I think it was an older project.
In 2017.
Yeah.
It feels and then Don't Explain.
Yeah. So that's how I discovered her, from Those Feels Again. And I like how minimalist she is kind of, but there's a lot of depth and stuff, which I feel like she knows when to put it all in and when to like kind of pull back a little bit. So I felt that with her, with the song, even though I just listened to it just with you guys right before this, but I really like it. Although I feel like I just need to reevaluate my relationship with a lot of these R&B artists coming out, and because I feel something, but I don't know if it's just me, but it's so hard for me to grasp my attention at this point with like kind of the overload. And as I think it was Brandon who was saying that I need to push myself to listen to singles more. I feel like that's really hard for me to do. I don't know for anybody else, but for me sometimes, like even if it's my favorite artist, if a single drops, usually I'm just like, I'll just wait for the project.
Yeah. Well, see, and that's interesting because obviously I'm coming from the music world myself, and I mean, if you talk to a lot of the insiders, they'll tell you, I mean, to push the singles, unless even if you have a project ready, which most artists, to be honest, have maybe even one or two projects been ready. But for them, it's more of, it's just like you said, how there's such an overload of music. A lot of labels or artists feel like, I can get off just dropping these singles because more likely, less than not, the record's going to get lost in the shuffle anyway. So at least I can continue building this momentum, and then, some big event can happen. Then I can at least have your attention span for a weekend where you can stream my record, 4 or 5 times, or an album, 2 or 3 times over that weekend time period. Because really, lifespans of even an album is, I wouldn't even say it's a week anymore. I mean, unless you're almost like Drake or even, Jay-Z, someone like that. But even then, I mean, it's, it's 3-4 days of Twitter madness, and then something else pops up. And then, all that, we just had these big discussions disappear to a whole new discussion that we're having. So, I think it's, just as a music fan and listener, I think all of us, it takes a little bit of adjusting to how we kind of consume music, just because it's hard. It's like the streaming world kind of came up on us in a way that we never knew there, we had so many options for music. Like, at least personally, I never knew I had so many fucking options. There's
Exactly.
artists left and right, shit, I don't even know, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, no, just to pick up of what you said about Snoh, I think what she does really dope that I haven't really heard from any new R&B act is she has that old minimalistic style that a lot of older R&B acts have, but she's able to put it into a newer age, vibey, more R&B realm that we live in. And I think that's really, really dope. That's actually why I'm a big Brett Faiyaz fan as well, because he's very, very simplistic with his. Honestly, listen to Brett Faiyaz record, it's mostly vocals. Like there's barely any type of beat in that record if you really listen. So that's why I really really enjoy it.
So what do you guys think about, because like I said, it's been less than a year since she dropped her last project, leading up to Ugg Those Feels Again. She dropped I Want You Around. She dropped Find Someone Like You. She might have had one more single. So it's like, do you guys think she's getting into the cycle where she's going to drop another album? Like R&B artists typically move in different patterns than rappers. Some rappers will drop every year. R&B artists will give you like 2 years, 3 years, and then they'll wait a little bit. Certain more commercial R&B artists will give you an album every year and a half, something like that. But Snoh, I feel like her sound is more something that you can sit with for a while and then get another album in like 3 years. So do you guys think she might be coming back with something else?
That's an interesting way to put it that I never thought about in terms of like the way that rappers push out at such a higher volume than R&B singers. It's interesting. One thing I was thinking of how interesting it is that like the albums we talk most about from rappers are usually the ones that kind of sit a little bit longer. Like Alfredo, for example. Freddie, even if he drops one a year, it's still like there's enough time to breathe with it compared to like the Baby, for example. Yeah, I still like I'm very heartbroken over how fast the Baby has fallen off, but that's for another discussion. But
the Baby conversation's rough. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it sucks. But for Snoh, I almost feel like I kind of feel like she's like a winter type girl. I almost feel like maybe you drop one more single and we might get maybe a nice little EP, probably. But then again, I don't know because she's gained so much momentum, like in the last half of last year, in prep for her album, and it's been pretty good for the past couple months. So I feel like they might want to capitalize on that somehow. But I feel like we won't expect another album for her until maybe like beginning middle next year. But then again, something like that, it works really well for like the climate we're in right now where we're chilling at home, we got nothing to do. Maybe they want to make some babies or something like that, and Snoh would like to help. And so maybe she wants to do something a little bit like that. But I feel like an EP will probably be her next move and maybe test the waters. I feel like she might go for something a little bit more weird or experimental because I don't know if anybody saw I actually did listen to the song. I saw they dropped a video for it, if I'm not mistaken. And it was
I didn't know that.
Kind of like sci-fi alien type situation. I totally forgot because I was watching a lot of stuff this weekend. But I wonder if she might go a little bit I feel like she would do well in sort of like the FKA Twigs route. And I'm hoping that they kind of like test the waters a little bit, drop an EP, see how people feel, drop an album that's kind of like meets in the middle sort of while still keeping her minimalist things.
Now that you say that, one thing that I immediately thought of when you said FKA Twigs, I don't know if Kaytranada and Snoh have worked before, but I think she fits so well on Kaytranada's sound. She would murder them.
Yeah.
I'm going to look that up now, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
I love Kaytranada. Or even a Disclosure record. Or even Disclosure. I mean, I'm a big Disclosure guy. I don't know if y'all into alternative, but I'm a very, very, very big Disclosure fan. That's my little hidden secret.
When is Disclosure's album coming out? I know it's supposed to come out soon.
Man, they've been playing with us for a while. They dropped like 2 singles. They said they're going to drop the project. I don't know if they actually – I think they did come out with an official date, I think. But I've been waiting for this like damn 3 years at this point.
Right?
So I don't know. We'll see.
Now, you guys are more of the R&B people than me. So, like, is there, like, a certain, like, mystique to Snoh Aalegra that, like, I haven't, like, caught on to yet, or because I feel like R&B, there's always like some type of mystique to them, or like some type of like
so
something.
Actually,
with
okay, go ahead.
Snoh, the way I got introduced to her was Drake sampled her on "Do Not Disturb" on More Life.
Yes.
He sampled "Time." So hearing that vocal sample, you're like, "Yo, who is that?" And then my boy sent me the song once. He was like, "Yo, this is who Drake sampled." I heard the song. I was like, "Who is this woman?" Like her voice is incredible. I'm not fully equipped with all the proper terms to like describe what it is, but it's different. It's very different than a lot of R&B girls right now. And I think her being not black also like makes it especially like, yo, who is this soulful ass girl who isn't part of our culture, but like I would invite her to any cookout. I would bring her to any coffee house. She got pictures with Division. She was in the studio with Giveon. Like she works with No ID. Like she's around all of the right people to really like, but I think she has that talent by herself anyways. So yeah, it's incredible.
So it's actually Brandon. It's funny you mentioned Mystique. I know I kind of wanted to segment this into the next point, which is Summer Walker, her project. Now I know Dwight unfortunately isn't here with us today, but Mr. Vocals is the number one leader of the Summer Walker Stan Club.
Yes.
He will fall on that dagger any day of the week. And so, Brandon, I'm not gonna say I'm a huge. I would say Armand and Dwight are really better R&B than I am. Really even diving into it a little bit more. And I asked him, who would they consider in the same realm as Summer Walker, right? Because I feel like Summer has this mystique, and even on this project, just to get into it a little bit, for the most part, like I felt like she went back to her roots, where like the fans really, really like her at, where she really built that fan base in that super vibey realm. And I never, and this isn't a knock to her, but I never felt like she was the greatest vocalist ever. I thought like seeing her live or seeing her do live, so she sings a lot better than I initially thought. So I'll give her credit for that. But I come to learn that it's not even about that with her, which is interesting with a lot of these new R&B acts, because it's not even about the vocal chops really. It's more of like the emotion, the lyrics, and like the vibes that they present. And I feel like Summer Walker on this project, I really felt that more. Truly understanding her, like the only record it was like add to me was the first one. I liked her party. I did like that record, but I really liked the record she did with the other guy. I keep forgetting his name. Oh no,
No one Noah.
No one know. Okay, so that's someone new that I've been. But I like his sound. I do like how they sounded together.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I really think her mystique, her aura, just like her lyrics and shit hit different. Like I mention my little sister all the time, and she can recite you every Summer Walker lyric out there, because like for women especially, it hits a real different way. So yeah, so no, I really did enjoy Summer's project though. I really did.
Yeah, it was a solid first listen on it. I remember reviewing her last album kind of like last year over it, and it was good, and then like it kind of dragged on a little bit. It was like 19 songs. I was just not really into it. She had an A-Boogie feature. I couldn't do it. But
oh man,
I'm sorry, A-Boogie.
Oh man,
A-Boogie's not my cup of tea. But anyway, this EP was definitely soulful. I love the No One Noah feature. Party Next Door sounded really good on here too. Was D-Watt tripping on Party Next Door on this one, or were you guys just? Did he say like he was like the worst feature on here, or he was bad on here or something? Armin tweeted that.
No, that was Mr. Vocals. That was his least favorite song, I believe.
Yeah. But yeah, I like this EP. I'll probably go back to it. I'm going to review it, obviously, more in depth. But I did like the sound of it. But I can't say much more on that other than that. But I do have a lot of hope for her. I think she is a pretty good singer. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if it was just me. It felt a lot more atmospheric, kind of. Than a lot. I feel like a lot of R&B singers are kind of moving in that sort of direction where it's more like, as you said, they're focusing more on like the lyrics, kind of the whole entire vibe. I feel like vibe check is sort of like a meme or some sort of thing, but I feel like it's kind of translated to music where everything now kind of has like that similar sort of intent. Maybe I don't really know how to explain it. More so than maybe back then with like a lot of the singers where it really focused on vocal chops and everything from like the visuals and all that stuff, selling like this whole entire character. But I feel like for a lot of these R&B girls like Snoh, like Summer, they're more pushing. It's interesting. They're kind of pushing against that R&B woman type trope that has been set up in the 90s, focusing more on like substance rather than everything else, and everything else will eventually follow, which I like a lot. So I like this a lot more than you said. As I forgot that Over It had that many tracks, which I think is what kind of put me off. And I was like, I'm gonna take a step back for a little bit, because that's the one annoying thing that's I've been noticing with like a lot of these like new artists, for when it's like their peak and they drop something. Like everybody and their mother was talking about Summer when Over It dropped. Like you saw that cover everywhere. It was like crazy. And I feel like it's annoying that these labels like slap as many songs on, basically just seeing what sticks instead of maybe curating it. And if anything, those others for the deluxe edition or for like an EP or something. But I noticed it especially in like hip hop, which is why it was surprising. Like I'm derailing because that's what I do for some reason. But it's just like I was very surprised that the Pop Smoke album had as little songs as it did. For some reason, I was genuinely expecting 20 songs, go crazy, see what happens. So I was really surprised with the curation of that compared to a lot of the other projects. And I feel like hopefully Summer follows suit. And I think it was smart of her to drop an EP first to kind of test it, see what people bump during the summer. Maybe release something else, but yeah.
There've been a lot of good EPs this year.
Yeah, and that was Summer's formula. Before she dropped Over It, she dropped Clear, a 4-song EP.
Yep.
I have so many thoughts about her. I got hip to her when I saw her open for Black in December 2018, and I heard Last Day of Summer. I thought it was really great. I thought she had a very unique sound. My co-host from my podcast, Nick, he describes her as like sad, lonely girl, neo soul.
Yep.
She used a lot of instruments. It's very stripped down. And then with Over It, I describe it as like, it felt like a major label debut album.
Yeah.
A lot like Pop Smokes did, like with the Quavo feature, even though I thought Quavo did his thing. 3 Quavo features, Tyga, DaBaby, Lil Baby, Future. Like it didn't feel like what you might think a Pop Smoke album would be. But when you think about a major label looking to capitalize commercially, looking to bring people with names that bring in other people, you know, Summer's album had Black, Bryson Tiller, Party Next Door, Usher, Drake, you know, like, so, and London on the Track produced a lot of it too. So her sound definitely changed in that regard. I think it was good that with this EP, she definitely came back to her original sound. I didn't think it was her strongest project. I think it's a little better than Clear. I thought, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to her, I thought the features really showed her up. Like No One Noah watched her on both songs he was on. Party killed My Affection. Like My Affection is way better than Just Might, the song Party had with her on Over It. Like this song is, I've been listening to My Affection and White Tea over and over for the last couple of days. And maybe that's the Party fan in me. Maybe that's me just liking different
spicy Armand, spicy.
I felt like she got showed up by, and like it's not that she didn't do well, but her features just did that much better than her. But it was a small project, but still.
You know, you said that. I remember you mentioned it in the chat, and I went back and listened, and it's tough. You know, and the only reason I'm gonna say it's tough is, you know, I'm sure a lot of those records, especially like I'm sure. You know, I believe for that Bryce one, I'm sure she probably sent it out somewhere. It was already mostly done already. Kind of hops on. So especially with features, like I always give the whoever's record is, I give them a little bit of like a little room, only because, you know, getting a piece of work, hearing it already. Then you go, all right, so I know where I can fit in. I know how I can enhance it. Because really, that's your job, enhance it. So, like, although I think it was just more a testament to how good the features were. And I just, like, because they were really good features. Like, for a new guy, I keep forgetting his name. Noah.
No
You
one
don't know
Noah.
Noah?
No one.
No one know it. Okay, damn, I was close. All right,
It does.
so no one know it. Yeah, like I'm probably gonna go listen to some of his work just because I thought he did really, really well. And shout out to Summer for even at this point in her career to even let somebody like that top one, you know, because she very well could have got a black feature or you know, whoever she really was. Like Summer could really get a feature from any Brett Fires feature. Like, you know, there's so many other people that she could have jumped on. For her to go for a relatively unknown person and give him that room that she knowing she's, you know, one of the new hottest R&B acts out there. I know. Shout out to her for even doing that.
Yeah.
But no, that kid was dope though. I did like that kid though. That
Yeah,
dope.
and looking at Summer's trajectory, like aside from her album, she had a song with Chris Brown, Something Real. She worked with Davido. She was on Rick
Like
Ross'
major
album.
record.
Really,
You know what I'm saying?
she's really being positioned to become an R&B star, like that R&B women that everyone is calling to do a hook, to give them a verse. So it's like, you know, as much as I think a lot of people would like her to stick to her original sound, I think in a way to be an R&B superstar these days, a lot of labels feel like you have to fit into a certain mold, which is unfortunate because like you look at someone like Brent Faiyaz, who's independent, doing his own thing. He has a very unique sound. Like John said, he sounds old, but he fits into today's sound. And like his sound and Summers are very different, but then he's given out features to Juice World, to Gold Link, to I'm trying to think who else he's worked with, but like he's still mainstream and still doing his own thing. But with Summer, I think because she's a woman, they might be positioning her a little differently.
Yeah.
Well said.
No, that's fair. That's definitely fair. But so yeah, just before we wrap this all up, we have one more. We talked about this during the chat, and it was a very, very good point. I don't know if there's a song of the summer due to the fact we've all been locked up. But if there was, do you guys have any or feelings to what you think we will be hearing basically every day going anywhere? I have I'll just quickly shoot out mine. I think The Woo was going to be the record in New York. I think if you are anywhere on the East Coast, you're going to hear The Woo maybe 1,000,000 times. It's actually, I think, due to the corona, the record's not going off as crazy as I expected it to, because that's a catchy ass hook with a 50 feature and a Roddy Ricch feature. That is all the sprinkling for every outside bar in America. So that would be my vote.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good pick. Huh.
You got any other, Brandon?
I don't know. I actually have no idea, to be honest with you. That's probably the best answer. Any Pop Smoke record at this point. You know, at a house party with, you know, because there's mostly white people in my area, it'd probably be Jack Harlow with What's Poppin'. That's probably be the song, to be quite honest with you. That'd probably be it. It's a good song. I like the song, but
it's not a bad choice.
Yeah, they would absolutely kill that song for me because it would be played every weekend more than likely. The song I would personally put on every single time is No Suburban Part 2 by Chef G. I would play that song literally everywhere I possibly can. Great song.
That's a unique. Love
Chef G.
Shout out to
any New York drill sound, because I'm addicted to it now, is definitely getting played by me.
I keep hearing about Chef G. This is a new discovery for me.
Chef,
That's the third person to say about Chef G.
Chef is really
hard. He just dropped something in May. You got to listen to that shit.
He's from Brooklyn?
Yeah.
How about you, Jade? Song of the summer, quote unquote.
It's interesting. I never thought about it, but now that Brandon brought it up, that Jack Harlow song is a strong contender just because I feel like TikTok is going to kind of really dictate it. And at this rate, it's very surprising as to how well that stuck. And then with the remix that came out with the baby, like, wild to me. So I feel like objectively that. Otherwise, I'm going to have to agree with the Pop Smoke record. I feel like it's one of the only records that has really stuck, even though it's been out for only like 2 weeks. It has stuck more than a lot of what's been coming out in terms of like mainstream, but still having that sort of like appeal for like us who are a little bit of music snobs. But for me personally, Aim for the Moon is probably my pick for, like, that's the first, even though it's like only I would consider the first track because I don't know if I would consider the intro. It kind of blended in so that it's kind of one entity.
Yeah.
That one fucking blew me out of the water, and it has the Quavo hook to boot, and it reminds me of like that summer, like 2017, 2018, where Quavo was on everything, and then Pick Up the Phone kind of became. I think Pick Up the Phone. I think that came out during the summer. It kind of reminded me of that same thing.
2016.
I think that was during 2016.
2016 already.
Pick Up the Phone, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy, but it kind of reminded me of that, and it also reminded me of how good Quavo was, because there was a time where I was like really burnt out on him because he was everywhere. But that album reminded me a little bit of like why he's so good at what he does.
Yeah, I think that Quavo Pop Smoke project was gonna be really, really good. Like better than the Quavo Travis Scott one, because Quavo and Travis, their sounds were too similar. I think Pop Smoke would have brought something out of
I was just about to say that.
Would have brought something out of Pop Smoke, because Pop Smoke was, if you look at the way, like I said before, the way his album was set up, he was positioned to be a star. Like that was a star track list and a star ranking. For my songs of the summer, it's crazy you guys ignored this one. I think Drake Time Flies would have been crazy this summer.
Yeah.
I think just I'm outside in an AMG, like the DJ would just run that back over and over and over. I do agree the Woo would have been hard. I think Chef G would have surprised a lot of people. Pop Smoke, of course, the Woo and Snitching. I think Snitching, if we were outside, that one with Quavo and Future would have went crazy too. And I also would go Party Next Door, Rihanna, Believe It. I think that one would have made some noise. I don't know why I'm okay.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
I think that one would have made some noise. Like we got that one in quarantine. Rihanna's music, like people can't help but play her out. That type of song, I picture people at like a day party or a brunch listening to that. And just like maybe Tootsie Slide just for the whole dancing aspect of it.
Yeah.
Not to go too aggressively OVO. I know I have that bias, but like
over your Armand.
I think that just like every summer there's one dance record. Time flies, there's no dance to it. The pop songs, there's no like you could hit the, but it's not like you can't do that to the Woo. Like you gotta switch it up. So I feel like Tootsie Slide would have been the dance song that everyone would have gotten up to and done the dance to during the summer. So yeah, I would go Time Flies, Believe It, and Tootsie Slide. But I like all you guys' choices too. I think this, like 2019, because 2019 I have a playlist of songs of the summer. There's Cash Shit, Suge, No Guidance. There's Yay by Burna Boy. There's Toast by Coffee. There's On Chill by Wale. So there's like, I think these days we have multiple songs of the summer. So I think we would have had a nice mix in 2020 of stuff, and a bunch of stuff that artists probably haven't put out because they know people aren't going to be outside to hear it.
Yeah,
so that's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see the rest of the year when it comes to music, just to see how everybody reshuffles and kind of just, kind of know a lot of people had quote unquote summer albums ready or EPs ready that like, fuck, gotta regroup. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see.
And also really quick, I also just realized that I really like Girls in the Hood by Meg Thee Stallion. And I feel like, at least for me, that's going to be on heavy rotation, even though I feel like people have already kind of forgotten about it. But I feel like that was stronger than pretty much most of Sugar, because that's like I actually came back to it more. So I think that, for me personally, is probably another strong contender.
Also, one more for me, too, because it won't get played anywhere, but because it's a mixtape and his name is not that big. But Clink, Smino, with the song Clink with T-Pain would go everywhere. But no, it's not on like Spotify or Apple Music or anything. So like you would have to get it on like SoundCloud. I don't think that would really make much of a difference. But he's not big enough to get that like club play or get any play because we can't go anywhere. But still,
which sucks because I think Smino is extremely talented. Like I went on the podcast in January and he asked me who I thought the next 3 artists of the decade could be. And I said J.I.G., I said Smino, and I said Baby Keem. And I might readjust that, but I think Smino's talent-wise, he could be someone who, like, influences the next sound, the next wave, encourages people to be more versatile and just do different shit, take risks. Like, he's not the conventional musician. He's Smino's different, which I love. So, yeah.
I feel like with Smino will probably eventually do a lot more like low key work, doing like songwriting and every more behind the scenes stuff, which I think will help a lot because I feel like you you that's what you have to do now. Like if you're not kind of what they conventionally want in terms of like mainstream media and stuff, you're gonna have to do things like that kind of. But I feel like he's talented, so he could go anywhere that he wants, do pretty much anything, and I think we'll still be able to have like some longevity, and we'll see like a lot more credits of him over the next couple of years because I feel like people are finally catching up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
Oh, one more thing before, because I guess we didn't mention it, but like just really like quick thoughts like on the Juice World record. I don't know if anyone listened to it or
It's
not.
so
yeah, I was just about to say
sad.
RP Sim. I was just about because I'll be honest with you, I'm not the biggest Juice WRLD guy. I'm really not, because I'm really not that side of a person. I keep the whole buck with people, but I've always given credit for just being. I mean, I've heard a bunch of his freestyles. I heard his rapping records. I super respect him as a pure rapper. Listening to his music, he definitely, especially on this project. I don't know about past projects, but this one sounded very like '90s grunge, like not grunge, but '90s like alternative band type stuff that I see on like MTV and shit. Like that sound that I used to get back then, that's really, really reminded me of. But no, that was one of the saddest projects I ever heard. I mean, that I don't know if he was that. I don't know. It sounded like he was crying out. Every record's talking about how sad he is and how much he was on drugs. That's never a good combination. So, but outside of the sadness of it, I everything else, like just pure musically, was pretty dope. It all sounded pretty good. But RP to him, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember watching him at Made in America, and he was by far, by far the best performance because he just put so much emotion and passion into everything. And I'm very surprised by how well they did this, like in terms of sequencing and everything, like with like Anxiety, like the intro, and there was one. I think it's the Legends Never Die interlude. Oh no, the Man, the Myth, the Legend interlude, and it was just like a bunch of artists talking about Juice WRLD and like how talented he was. Like he had like Eminem, J. Cole, who else? I forget who else was in there. Oh, Young Thug. Like everyone was like giving him praise. Like he was on that level. He could have been on that level of like Lil Wayne 06, 09. Thug has said, which shocked me. I didn't think, even though I love Juice WRLD, I didn't think he was going to be there, but the love was there. And his last album, so it was much like this one where it was like very like depressive, dark. Like the first song is called Empty, and he just like is just like singing his heart out about just like basically wanting to die. And it's just like the whole album is a lot of foreshadowing, a lot of like you said, crying out for help. It kind of hurts to get through because like there's not like one song where it kind of like breaks up the monotony. It's like the entire album is like him begging for something, like some sort of help, some sort of
like happiness, like some happiness he couldn't find. I don't know, man. I was driving to my boy's house in Patterson listening to it, and like I got through a good amount of the records. I was like, damn, like you said, there was no comedic relief. There was no like. Nothing. It was just record of just like some like deep meaning, sad. It was some shit. That was some shit.
It was one of those things where like I don't know if I'll come back to it again purely because of contextually it just makes me upset. But what surprises me is how it's interesting because on one hand I understand why they would do it and release that, but on the other hand, it's a very long album, 21 songs.
Yeah,
and it's a lot to take in. So I'm wondering why they didn't think maybe like do like a double type situation where they release one, a couple months later release the other part and stuff. But
to answer your question, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but just to go back, I know there's like a couple times you mentioned that they just do that just to get the streaming number. Because I already saw he's gonna get the #1 album this year. I think he's gonna do like almost 300,000 first week. Like it's just that. Just I blame Spotify more than anything. Just because at this point you have to put so many records out, so more records get recommended and blah blah blah. But I just want to throw that out there real quick.
Yeah, because I feel like with that especially, it's just like a lot to take in. But then also the interesting thing is I guess he really didn't have any happy songs, because you'd think that maybe like the label, whoever's curating it, unless this was like kind of intended to be an album already and they kind of had everything already recorded for him to like for him to release, if assuming he was still alive.
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, it's a lot, because I feel like it's very tricky to handle these releases after the artist passes, and trying to find that line between like being respectful, but also at the end of the day, we got to get those streaming numbers up. Hence, like Pop Smoke pumping all the features that you can.
Yeah.
Or like even with this, and but I liked a lot of it. I liked the song with Trippie Redd a lot.
Yes.
That one,
Trippie body that.
Yes.
I was very like, that was like a very satisfying feature. But then for some of the others, like I didn't like this Marshmello song that much, and the Halsey one. So I'm glad they kind of like put those together, kind of like this is what was supposed to get like all the radio play and everything like that. Kind of clean that out of the way, because it's also surprisingly a lot harder than I expected to like kind of market him mainstreamed, like in terms of like radio play and stuff like that, because of like how heavy some of his stuff is. Like Lucid Dreams already in and of itself, I think, is probably one of the more tamer songs that he has, which is why it did so well. But yeah. It was rough.
Yeah. And one more thing before Armin goes, I just want to say, like, the only thing with Juice WRLD is he kind of put out projects that had a lot of songs before that. So maybe they were just kind of following that thing he already had. Because the last album, Death Race for Love, that had 20 tracks in it, and that didn't even have interludes or anything. That was just him straight rapping and singing. So, like, I think I give them credit, honestly, that they honestly made this as cohesive as it was, because it could have been a lot worse, especially when you look back at, like, XXXTentacion's albums, where they were literally just throwing out anything and just trying to make a buck. That's, like, I just look at that and compare it to this, and I'm like, this is so much better than anyone and X's label could have handled it.
Yeah, I think that we like, I don't know what that was, but yeah, I feel like a lot of these labels or whoever it is are getting a lot better when it comes to the sequencing, because like the X's albums, even like the fans got pissed after a certain amount of time, which says something, because they will ride for that man.
Yes.
But I was really surprised as to how cohesive it was. It got to the point where sometimes while I was like listening to it, I was like, wait a second, which song is this now? Because everything just kind of flowed so well together. So one thing I really do appreciate, I really like with Juice, and is that they seem to like really take the time with it, because I think they're also realizing like we are marketing this, of course, to their fans, and I think they're starting to realize like the fans will take anything that you throw at them, but at the same time we should kind of respect it and try to create a vision for, if assuming that they were living. And thinking back on it, all of his albums really did have a lot, because it seemed like with him it came so naturally to him, where he would just kind of churn stuff out left and right. It was so easy. But I really like the sound on this, with like little guitars here and there. You really could tell like what his influences were, and I really liked it a lot.
Yeah, no, I think like I said with Pop, I think Juice was a young star. I think the way Lucid Dreams streamed, all the features he was doing, the way he was working, he was being positioned to be a star as well. And his talent was worthy of it. He was a great rapper, amazing melodically, like, and this is not to like put down anyone specific, but Juice to me was like a much better version of Trippie Redd. Like, he'll give you bars, crazy bars, but his melodies are nuts too. So I didn't get to finish the whole project, admittedly. I've been in an R&B coma this weekend. I love R&B more than anything. But I listened to a couple of them, and I did like them. And I just judge posthumous albums very differently, and I consume them differently. Like Mac Miller, Circles, I listened to it a couple times. I loved it. I just don't really go back to it. And it's not because I don't like it. It's just like I have to be in a certain mood to really like get into that. Like I miss Mac so much. Like it's difficult to think about the fact that he's given us so much and he's gone. So listening to that music puts me in a very, very dark place. So I avoid it. And like Pop's album, thankfully, because it's like more upbeat, I can play it and I feel like I'm celebrating him more.
Yeah.
And with Juice, we'll see how I kind of deal with that one. But just generally with posthumous albums, like I don't really go back to them often. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Juice's album after this. But I think he was so amazing. Just he didn't even peak yet, and he accomplished so much as a young guy. And I think he was only going to get better. So I'm looking forward to finishing it. I've heard good things about it. I saw how long it was, which is a bit daunting, but his albums, like Brandon said, they've been long albums, and I think he is one of the biggest examples of what a star is from like 2018 to 2020. Like, I'm going to be featured on a bunch of songs, and I'm also going to give you a long-ass album, hoping that everyone playlists a bunch of songs and all the songs stream well. Even if you don't listen to it all 22, if this group listens to 4, this group listens to 4, it'll stream well enough where I'll get the numbers I want. And unfortunately, that's kind of just the reality of the business. Like, the art kind of takes a vice president seat to the business sometimes, unfortunately. But I think Juice's talent was good enough where even if it was clear he was aiming for, or his label was aiming for numbers, people loved him and loved what he gave enough to still engage with it. So I'm looking forward to finishing the project, and I miss him a lot. So thank you guys for your words and for joining us for the most recent episode of What You Expect, First Take, blah blah blah, whatever it is. We here.
Quick class for Jay. Appreciate you having come with us today, Jay. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Sorry, the podcast, Jerry. Appreciate it.
Shout out Mr. Reviews, Brandon. Shout out to King Solomon. Single coming
Shout
soon.
Shout to you, Mr. Host. Whoa. Shout out to you, Mr. Host. Whoa. Let's wrap it up, bro.
Let me end before I get in trouble. Okay. Oh, shit. Okay.